We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 60 after Monday Night Raw?
What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Saturday, October 4th. I'm fired up to be here. We're going to break down Friday Night SmackDown for all of you. And I've got a sweet panel hanging out with me. One of the best panels because it's people that have been here forever. It's people I love to work with. And let me introduce first, though, out in the DMV. Get your twos up. The Tuesday Night Delight Shoddy on a Saturday. We're blessed with your presence. How are you on this fine Saturday, Shoddy?
What's going on, bro? All is good here, man. It's your boy Shot Talks Graps, and I am back with another installment on the Wrestling Republic daily broadcast. Good to be here, man. Good to talk about SmackDown, so let's get into it.
Absolutely. I'm fired up too, but before we do, let me introduce one more to you. We're going to send this one to the great state of Texas, to the always controversial but always fun to hang out with, Ignacio. How are you on this Saturday, my friend?
Great, man. Very excited. Chester's here. He's a little bit peeved because we woke him up, but we're here to talk about the highs. The highs were highs on SmackDown and the lows were lows, so let's get into it.
No doubt about that. I would agree with that a ton. I think that's, if we had to sum this up in 1 minute, that's how I would sum up SmackDown for sure. The highs were high and the lows were low. No doubt about it. Let's get into our first topic here, though, my friends. Let's talk about Carmelo Hayes and Miz. Melo don't Miz. I'm not going to lie. I've been heavily critical of thrown together tag teams, but if you give them a funky name like that and they start to show some teamwork and things of that nature, I have no issue with it. And I thought this was a good one. I don't mind the breakup. I felt like it was inevitable from the start of all of this, but I also feel like it's just a touch early, Shoddy. And I'm going to toss it to you first. Are you on the same page there? And how do you think the execution of the breakup went down? Are you looking forward to like a Miz and Melo rivalry? Are they going to go 3 matches? What do you think? What do you think we're going to see post Melo don't Miz?
Yeah, I mean, I think the story that they've created with it and all the timelines of what is happening makes sense. But I think, to your point, the timing, is it the correct time? Is it a bit early? That's kind of the one where we'll have to wait and see, just because I think the main premise of this is that we're here to make Carmelo Hayes a big-time babyface on this roster, right? We're ready to let him run as a singles competitor, and you kind of build the whole storyline between him and the Miz, where Miz is obviously the heel. Miz has kind of been stealing the shine from them within the tag division. I just think within them being a team, like, I feel like there was, Easter eggs of them kind of showing the, Miz kind of, weaseling his way and kind of taking all the credit for it and whatnot. I don't know if we got enough consistency out of that. I don't know if there was proper booking where they got enough wins. Maybe I would have honestly had them become tag team champions out the gate, right? Or through this run, and Miz kind of being the one that helped get to the tag team titles, and then the eventual breakup happens after they lose the belts or something like that. Like, I feel like the story itself, right, it's written well, but I just don't think the execution has been amazing towards it. Now, in regards to them breaking up, I'm cool with it. I mean, yeah, they are a makeshift tag team, but this is a roster that has a lot of consistent built tag teams. I don't think you need them to be a tag team. And I think Carmelo Hayes and Miz both honestly are better as single stars. I think it's just the worry of, is Carmelo Hayes going to draw enough of the fans to be that babyface you expect him to be?
I don't think you could have broken that down more perfectly, Shad, to be honest. And like, I was going to try to find a spot to disagree with you, but I think one of the best things that you mentioned about this is the should have got a tag team title run. There's no doubt about it in my mind, because the tension between the two while carrying the belts lands when the breakup happens more impactfully than it does in this scenario, as they were pseudo contenders for the majority of the time that they were partners. Another factor when it comes to that, shot that I thought about when you were saying it, the Miz might be close to the record. He might even have it already, but for tag team title reigns with different partners, as much as you mentioned, the Miz and Melo are better as single stars, which I agree with. There's an interesting footnote on Miz's career where this guy's tagged with like everybody under the sun and managed to have success. And I thought there was a lot of success when it came to Melo and Miz. So my only complaint is, like you said, I understand the storyline on paper. It all makes sense, but it just felt slightly too soon. It just felt slightly too soon. I want to get your thoughts on it, Ignacio, too, and then we'll sort of all break it down and keep it rolling here. But what did you think about the timing of the breakup? Did you think that Matt Williams just called me Molly Kiram? That's unbelievable. Okay. And then he said Ignacio skip and shot Stephen A. That's awesome. I'll accept it, Matt. I'm sorry. That made me laugh way too hard. That caught me off guard. Ignacio, though, back to the topic at hand here. Melo, don't Miz is no longer. What do you think about the potential rivalry? What do you think about the timing of the breakup and all of that, the state of SmackDown's tag team division?
Yeah, I just think that their booking didn't, the booking, the way they've been booked, it didn't help. It's not going to help the aftermath or whatever the outcome is when they go into a feud or when they're about to go into a feud here. If they were booked better, just to kind of surmise what you guys already mentioned, anything, if they were booked better, if they were booked as a threat in the tag team division, if they were treated like a legitimate tag team and they would have had a run with the tag team titles and they kind of dominated for a little bit, it would have made the breakup more special and it would have made it mean something, and it could have elevated Carmelo Hayes. Not only that, it probably could have elevated the tag team division a little bit because, Miz is a great utility player and all that good stuff. He can do anything that you tell him to do, but this is a miss because of the way they were booked. And no, this isn't going to be the feud that where Carmelo Hayes shines, because yes, they're going to have a match, maybe 2, maybe 3, but it's going to keep Melo stagnant because of the way the whole thing's been handled. I think Carmelo Hayes is going to have to be rebranded, reintroduced in a way. I think he would benefit from taking a break for a little while and coming back. And I think his best work is probably going to be as a heel and not a babyface, because I don't think this run, this run has done him any favors. I think he's going to be a star eventually, but I think it's been too many starts and stops. I think a better thing to do at this point is, like I said, reintroduce him, rebrand him, have him take some time off, because I think he's just been stagnant. And I think this feud or this program with Miz hasn't really helped him very much. He's not going to get a big push or get some attention until he goes up against like a Randy Orton, for example, like somebody he can have a good 2-3 month feud with, and then come out at the end as the winner, and then he'll be elevated to a superstar status, upper mid card.
And where I'm at with that, Ignacio, I'm in like a lot of agreement. Here's the problem for me is you actually had a scenario where it really could have elevated Melo. I think the only problem is that both Miz and Melo operate their finest as heels, like you mentioned. And I think the formula for unlocking Melo's true potential really lies in the Shawn Michaels formula, right? He doesn't necessarily have a rocker. Oh yeah, he almost did Trick Williams. Mm-hmm. And that's the tag team run that should happen. That's the tag team run that should happen. And then you have him put his head through the barbershop window, for lack of a better way to put it. Shout out Sean and Marty Jannetty. And I'm not calling Trick Williams Marty Jannetty, but that's where I think Melo can find his groove, because I also think the key to Melo having a really impactful babyface run is he's got to become the coolest heel in the game, and he's capable of that.
Yeah.
From a personality standpoint, he's got to be the coolest heel. And then we'll flip, like it's psychologists always say, like, whatever, the part of your brain that registers hate and love are the two closest parts in your head. Right. And so like that's where I think Melo can find his groove, is as being the coolest heel possible, which I know can be criticized often when it comes to booking. But let's be honest with ourselves. It's worked with Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. It accidentally worked with John Cena as the Doctor of Thugonomics, and half of that was a joke. way back.
Even this past like initial heel run with him, like people were kind of enamored and thought it was something different. To that point, also, I think like the start of the show where he came out to open the challenge, I feel like him being that dominant heel or a big time heel going against someone that we're going to talk about next would have been the best bit for him too. Yeah, I agree 100% a lot with Ignacio said on that too. I think the stop and start aspect of it is not helping him at all. I mean, he had a 7-game feud with a guy who just left the company.
Right.
So
and what makes me sad about it is like him and Miz actually had really good chemistry when they were allowed to operate next to each other, and they got so close, but not quite there. So it felt a little bit like, what's the point? Just too early. And we got multiple comments here. BizJ791 over on Instagram, what they broke Miz and Melo up too early. We've got another one from Southside Deej with WWE pulled the breakup off too soon. Should have won the titles and lost them. Then the turn happens. Yep, I'm 100% with it. Absolutely. We got Fernando Zayas here with Happy Saturday, WR Crew. Happy Saturday, Fernando. No doubt about it. But let's get into some open challenge stuff, because I've been talking about hypothetical open challenges basically all week. Obafemi, different people that could wrestle Sami Zayn. Then we got a high quality match here with Aleister Black. And Shad, I'm going to go right to you when it comes to this one. What were your thoughts? I love Sami running the open challenge because you know what it's reminding me of? He's probably a top 5 wrestler on the whole roster. He can go with anybody stylistically, anyone. Aleister Black has looked actually great, I think, since he's been back. Somehow the black mask looks more vicious, but at the end of the day, it's Sami Zayn picking up another victory. What were your thoughts? I know one of the biggest Sami fans I know, you enjoyed this match at the very least, right, Shadi?
Yeah, you see the picture right there, hand painted by my wife. I've loved, this is probably one of the lone things that I enjoy on SmackDown, and it is probably my favorite part of SmackDown is Sami Zayn being the United States champion and running these open challenges. I think it fits the character that he is, just being that big time baby face, the fighting champ. That is a mid-card title, which is always a fighting champion's title. Obviously, we know the history of it, and then just aligning with the story that he had with Cena having the match against him as well. Like, I love that he's kind of just ongoing and letting that be. And in the process, you're giving a lot of television time to very talented wrestlers on the roster that sometimes get lost in the weeds. Having a match with a Rey Fenix, having a match with a Javon Evans, now having a match with Aleister Black. All of these are high-quality matches with high-quality competitors, and that goes a lot to say about Sami Zayn. I feel like, in my opinion, he is one of the most underappreciated professional wrestlers in the WWE, just because he puts so much into anything that you give him storyline-wise, whether he was doing the stuff with the Bloodline, whether it was kind of being the underdog to go against Gunther, whether it's getting the tag team titles with Kevin Owens and running those storylines together. He puts 110% and he delivers, and he gives you quality programming, whether it be a storyline and whether it be in the matches. And that's something that gets so swept under the rug with him. I think this is fresh because the last time we had the U.S. title was tied to this whole pseudo bloodline storyline with Solo and Jacob. And I'll be completely honest with you, they didn't do due diligence with it. Jacob should have been kind of just running through people. We didn't get that opportunity. We didn't get to see it like that. Solo, it wasn't much. I appreciate the character, but it wasn't much. This is fresh. This is nice. This is something good. And like you mentioned, when it is time for him to drop the belt, it's going to mean a lot because you're going against a guy who's racked up a ton of wins week upon week upon week upon week. And it shuts down. Like, it's just going to skyrocket whoever he goes against, whether it's Obafemi if he gets called up, whether it's Javon Evans on a rematch, whether it's somebody that's on the roster that we aren't talking about. It's going to mean a whole lot because you're going to beat a very credible champion.
I love that. I mean, dude, here's the coolest part. Like you mentioned, he's going to go over and over and over again in this storyline. I don't know that I clocked that when he took over the open challenge aspect when it came to this title. I love the way it went down with John Cena and all of that, right?
Mhm.
In hindsight, that is the best thing that's happened on Cena's retirement run, is what Sami Zayn did for him and what he did for Sami Zayn in that spot. Sammy's going to go over and over again. And like you said, it's going to build it to the point where it makes somebody else. It's also going to make Sami headed into this Rumble that we all, I think, can agree is Sammy's Rumble to win.
Yeah,
No
he's a
doubt about
favorite
it.
for it.
One thing I do find interesting that I've been thinking about all week when it comes to the Sami Zayn challenge, because we obviously covered it earlier in the week. Is it going to be Oba Femi that does it? I think that's a possibility. I understood that. I talked about that with Ben. On Tuesday night, though, obviously, Shotty, you had things going on, but me and Driz had to break down what was a bit of a flop when it came to NXT. And I love NXT, but NXT TNA was woof. And there was a lot of big names left out of that equation. One thing that I would love to see when it comes to this Sami Zayn Open Challenge is like a Nick Nemeth, whether it's as Dolph Ziggler or not. Guys like that too continue to show us different styles of matches for Sami as well. Like almost like Sami plays the greatest hits along this Open Challenge run.
Maybe go against someone from AAA.
I was going to say the same thing. Give me Mr. Iguana answering the Open Challenge. I was going to add, what about a Matt Cardona as Zack Ryder one more time? That would be outstanding. Anything, right? But don't give us, because we discussed the Oba Femi thing, and my broader point on this is, don't give us Oba right away. Make Oba the end game, but give us a good handful of like, wait, no way, it's actually, heck, give us Joe Hendry for all I care, right? Wes Lee, whoever it may be. Somebody like keep making it fun. I don't need to necessarily see like top of the card guys. Like I don't want to see Bronson Reed out there answering the challenge based on where he's at or things like that. Like it has been like a lot of in-house, including Javon, obviously, but Matt Williams added Carlito. I don't know. That does seem like a bit much, but Ignacio,
to your point though, that makes sense. Like people that are kind of were like Javon last week, the match benefits him, right? Like it doesn't, we knew he wasn't going to win, but him being in that kind of matchup against who he's going against, and it only helps him out.
I mean, heck, Jasper Troy, I would love to answer an Open Challenge. I'd be all over that. Give him the shot, because you know who can work with Jasper Troy on Friday Night SmackDown? Sami Zayn. It's like the one guy that could pull that off 100%. Ignacio, though, before we do move on to our next topic, I want to ask you, are there some names that you want to see Sami challenge? And what did you think of the Aleister Black match?
I thought last week's with Javon Evans was a lot better. It was very good. I think that's been Evans' best performance, even what he's done on NXT. And I wasn't sold on him at the very beginning since I first saw him. But after last week, I think he won me over. I like Evans a lot. I think he definitely has a lot of charisma. He has that connection with the crowd that it's very difficult from people coming up from NXT to get. They got the "This is awesome" chants, and I know that I think last week they were in Orlando. But people that go watch NXT, I mean, it's like maybe 1,500 people, maybe, or 1,000 that they've not even, so it's a big NXT market over there. But I mean, there were people there that I can guarantee you there were people there that don't want NXT, and they just like the way that this guy performed. So I think he has a big future. As far as guys that I would like to see, I can't think of really anybody off the top of my head. I'd like to see maybe again from AAA, maybe Wagner, Matt Cardona from TNA. I'd like to see that. I'm not in agreement with you guys when it comes to Oba Femi. I think he's a goof. I don't think he's gonna do that well.
Whoa! Be careful on Oba. You got to watch him more.
Wow, that's crazy. No. I'm surprised.
Ignacio, I'm stunned by that, because honestly, I think Oba.
Are you?
No, sincerely, given your taste in wrestling, I think Oba has been obviously misplaced as a babyface, but Oba as a monster heel, given his moveset and ability to put on matches, I think his future is as bright as I would give. If you're talking about the two arguably biggest prospects, if we're ranking just pure prospects in the WWE, I think it's probably Braun and Oba, and then I'd put Javon in the top 3 there, right? I think Oba is the best of the bundle, personally. I think Oba in the long run is the best of the bundle because he's also way better at cutting promos than people give him credit for. And he's also way better at selling. He's got a little bit of Brock in him in his ability to give in a match that psychologically doesn't necessarily make sense. I don't know anybody else that could have possibly made Ricky Saints look like he was as good as Oba did. And I just thought it was absolutely bogus that he had to do it, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk really quickly about my friends over at Barista Coffee. Barista's small batch organic coffee created through excellence, authenticity, and unforgettable moments. Head over to barista.com. Check it out. You're going to love it. The merch, all the coffees fresh as could be and as good as you can find. Also, here's the schedule for the rest of the week. You're going to get today an Allison analysis, and then tomorrow you're going to get Sunday Fun Day with me, Ben, Angie, and Mary. Besides that, though, we've got a lot of good things going on. Speaking of good things going on, let's get to our third topic of this afternoon, evening, depends on where you are geographically. Let's talk about Julia interrupting Stephanie Vaquer and Tiffany Stratton. This one's interesting. I think Julia and Vaquer are 2 of the absolute best to be called up from NXT as far as the women's division is concerned. It is interesting. I feel like we can't keep them away from each other. They're somehow like eternally connected. That's all I could think about last night when I saw him in the same ring. Ignacio, though, I'm going to guard you out of the gates. I thought this was arguably Vaquer's best promo on the main roster yet. The body language, all of it, I enjoyed it. What were your thoughts?
Well, this stuff, I'm gonna admit at first that the first time I saw this was Chester playtime. I saw who was coming out and I saw what was coming up, but I'm like, you know what? Chester's been bouncing around all over the place. I got to get his energy out. So I had to watch it again this morning. But you're right. This was, I've talked about that there's always one segment, maybe too many on the women's division. And it definitely wasn't this. This was the best segment as far as the women that were presented. And it was very good. And I'll tell you one thing about Stephanie Vaquer is that her English is, I think it was very obvious that it's improving. And one thing that I like is that, she says what she says it in Spanish, and then she translated it in English. And that gets to show you that she's learning and that she actually wants to learn. And because she wants to be a superstar. And she's improved dramatically, and she continues to improve. We already know what she can do in the ring. And one thing that I like that you mentioned, that she says it with her body language and her facial expressions. Like, you don't really necessarily need to know exactly what she says because you can read her face and her body language, right? Communication is mostly through body language, in case anybody's ever heard that. It's mostly through body language, not necessarily verbally. And both women, Stephanie and Tiffany, they sounded less rehearsed. Like either they practiced it to death or they're just getting emotionally involved in the dialogue. So it wasn't much of a drag as I thought it was going to be. It was good. They both got their point. And I would like to make a correction that this wasn't Julia interrupting Tiffany and Stephanie Vaquer, sure. By the way. It was Kiana James interrupting because I think Kiana James ultimately is the focus here. She sounded more natural than anybody on the microphone. The way she presented herself, the way she spoke, she was very comfortable. She's very comfortable on the microphone. She's very comfortable on her own skin. She got reaction from the crowd. They started booing her instead of crickets. So they're starting to react to her. That's a good sign. And, she kind of presented, she made the presentation, the offer to Stephanie Vaquer to, hey, come and join me and I'll make you a superstar. And I didn't think that sounded kind of bad. I kind of see like the little stable there with Julia and Stephanie and with the belts and with Kiana. I kind of like that idea. But then again, now you're taking Stephanie away from her promos, which I think, she's been doing good and progressing on. And I think that's important. But I wasn't totally against that idea. But I think overall, everybody did very good here. It was a very good segment from the women's division. And I can't speak for the other, segments from the women that were on. But this was very good.
I love what you just said at the end there about the potential of Kiana and Julia. I don't mind if it's almost like a women's Paul Heyman situation where Kiana just
Yep.
latches on to Julia and Stephanie gets maybe messed around here. If that's how we work our way back to a Julia and Stephanie Vauquer rivalry, I have no issue with that. Maybe Kiana changes her mind.
Yeah.
Maybe temporarily the three are together. I'm not totally sure on exactly how I'd go about that, but I think that is a really well thought out idea. And to your point earlier, Stephanie Vauquer, the body language is unbelievable. The facial, she screams star every single time. Every single time. And then Millennial Noob just said, heck, if the phases ain't joining Julia and Kiana James, then have the other heels join them, maybe Asuka and Kairi Sane. Yeah, you never know. I do think that's a kind of more of a broad stroke, but I would say that, not that mine was a little bit out of left field too. Shadi, I want to get your thoughts on all this too, because we got some extra time here. Julia and Stephanie, I think, as critical as I've been of the current NXT product, and they only spent a very short time on NXT, which we cover, of course, every single Tuesday night on Off the Air. But I think they're two of the most successful women's call-ups in quite some time. And would you agree with that, Shadi?
Yeah, I mean, if you notice something between both women and wherever they are on a wrestling landscape, there's something that's always like a magnet to them, and that's gold. Like they are literally a gold detector on the beach. You're going to find something with them. They're always going to have the gold on them. And I think it's just the fact that they just have presence that shows champion. You can trust them being a champion. And a lot what Ignacio said, people are going to complain about language barrier and all that stuff. A star is a star when you see him on television. And that's kind of what they display. Stephanie brings just pure presence when she comes in there. She stands tall. She may not even be the tallest person, but you think she's like 6'5" from just how much of how tall she stands in the ring. And Julia, I've always found her fascinating aesthetically. I just think that she has such a like cool look to her presentation. And my only nitpick in regards to this segment is it has nothing to do with the women tied to it. It's more so the two people involved are champions. And there isn't on Julia's side, a hallway of opponents that she can go for, right? Like they've kind of gone her against that. I call Mia Yim she's in the hamster wheel. She's just running in that hamster wheel, trying to get to that US title, and she's not going to get it. They just have her as a reliable hand. And I feel like I want to see them maybe bring more opponents, because I do think there is a room for like potential with her and Kiana James. I think Kiana James is a great manager. I think she talks with a lot of confidence. I just need to they need to find ways to kind of get people to maybe care for him a little bit more. Maybe last night was a good opportunity, kind of just putting her in the forefront with two world champions. But I've honestly, going into the Clash of Champions or Crown Jewel matchup between Tiffany and Stephanie, I do like the fact that it is a champ versus champ matchup, and it's just that. It's I'm the baddest. No, I'm the baddest, and we're not doing anything. Tiffany cutting these elementary promos that she had against previous people. It's more so that, I got a tough matchup ahead of me. I need to lock in and not take her lightly.
Well, I'm with you too. And Ignacio even mentioned it about it feeling less rehearsed and feeling more organic. And I'm with that 100%. And that's key, I think, and for growth for anybody in any division when it comes to on the microphone. The other thing that I would add that's interesting about this, and you made a good point, the titles being so close to each other. Survivor Series is Thanksgiving, right? It's just early October still. Everything's starting to feel Survivor Series-ish, where it's like titles around titles, and like it that's obviously just, sort of like a overbearing assessment, but at the same time, you can't have every champion near another champion all day long. As much as Survivor Series has been about that, it's not the traditional 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. It's going to be war games. We know what it's going to be. And getting there, yeah, we're planting seeds right now, but I don't know if we even have enough time to water the tree. We got to figure something out to really snap it into gear. I think when it comes to Survivor Series, at the end of the day, that's at least my personal opinion on that. But let's talk about the Bronze, Braun and Bronson, against the Ty Clips guy and Randy Orton, which I'm gonna refer to as Legacy for the rest of this segment. The team formerly known as Legacy, we were missing DiBiase Jr. I was hoping for a run in late. But we
Isn't he in jail?
I'm pretty confident he's in jail. But that's neither here nor there. Let's hope he gets back soon. Either way, $1 million man, you never know what is probably a financial crime.
I don't know if he could have used $1 million from all that fraud that he was doing.
Yeah, it didn't really work. But at the same time, we've got Braun and Bronson beating Cody and Randy Orton, and I was disappointed in one thing and one thing only, and that is why is it that Orton has to take the pin Cody Rhodes? I'm tired of Super Cody. I'm sick of it. Makes me mad every single time. And so we put him next to Randy Orton, the most accomplished wrestler that's still going to be here after Saturday night's main event in December. Why? I don't get it. And then the other thing is, we've got Seth Rollins freaking out about Cody Rhodes. He's not involved, doesn't really care about the vision. What is he visualizing other than just his match with Cody Rhodes? All he's thinking about is Cody and then his guys. I don't know. There's tension too early. Where are we going with this? I don't like it. I feel like the plug is going to be pulled on this whole vision storyline with Heyman and the two Brawns and Seth far too early. Did I enjoy the tag match? Of course I enjoyed the tag match. It was a fun SmackDown. It was Friday night. It was a good time. Ignacio, I'm going to go to you first. Then I'm going to go to you, Sean, and then we'll all break this down. But what were your thoughts? The Vision picks up the victory, the Bronze, and then obviously the tsunami on Orton. But I don't understand. We've got separate storylines with the Vision. Is Becky Lynch in the Vision, or are we just addressing on screen the fact that she's married to Seth Rollins? I don't totally understand the way that the Vision is working right now. Can you give me some insight on that as well as the match last night?
Yeah, I think it would benefit them from. Well, let me address the Becky Lynch aspect of it first. I think it would be better if we had a little bit more continuity when it came to the Becky Lynch presentation, kind of like how Ripley was with the Judgment Day. Like, not only is she out there for her matches in the women's division, but she's also out there for Seth's matches, and then maybe mix her in with Heyman and the Bronze also. I think the TV can benefit from that overall. I wish we had more continuity as far as that. I wish we had more continuity as far as presenting the Bronze as a very big threat to the tag team division. Like, they beat the Usos at the pay-per-view, but then they lost to them on Raw. And I know there was some interference from Roman, but I don't see there a reason why they could have beaten the Usos again to assert their dominance and still have Roman clean house and make him look strong, et cetera, et cetera. And I think one good thing that could help them was make them look strong and then put the belts on them, and that's going to elevate the Vision. It's going to elevate the faction. It's going to elevate the tag team division. Because then now you can say, well, it's going to take two top guys like an Orton and a Cody Rhodes to come in and beat them. So I wish we had more continuity there. I don't think Orton's impervious to burial. You know what I mean? You can pin him and it's not gonna hurt him any. One thing I get out of this is that I think now we have Cody and Orton. I think that feud's gonna start maybe a lot sooner rather than later. And I think it's perfect timing because I think this is a perfect time for Cody to enter into a big feud prior to WrestleMania, because this can go to the Royal Rumble and then maybe after. Because I don't think Orton – I know Orton's he's a legend. He's a big-time superstar, but I don't think that Cody versus Orton is the marquee match for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be Cody Punk. But I think this is a great program with Orton to take us up until WrestleMania. And I think that's obviously that's what they're trying to build towards. But I think the first segment, the opening segment was good. I thought the match was good for what it was. I think Heyman brings out the best in Cody. Cody brings out the best in Heyman. And everybody here was professional. It was a good match, so I think it was a very good way to start and finish the show.
I absolutely agree. The opening segment was probably the highlight, actually, I think, of the interactions in my eyes. And not only that, I was thinking about, Orton was going to punt Kevin Owens. We were going to get the Viper back, right? I don't care about anything. We were going to get the Al RKO Nia Jax, Randy Orton back. And if you're going to punt anybody and make it impactful, because I kind of agree with you on the Punk Cody thing at Mania, but at the same time, if you were going to get Randy and Cody to Mania, tell the Randy's going to kick, or he has kicked, Cody's head off storyline. Tell that one now, finally. Because unfortunately for Kevin Owens with the injury and everything, it just did not work out. And that's not his fault, right? And injuries happen, and I wish the absolute best for Kevin Owens. But they built that really well. That was a missing piece to a WrestleMania 42 that, 41 that we would have liked to have seen, I think, is the Orton KO stuff be paid off. It was well told. Orton Cody works just as well. I'm not saying plug and play the exact same story, but get us back to he's going to punt him. He's going to kick him in the head.
Yeah.
He's going to do it, right? It's sadistic. It's vicious. Just figure out a way to navigate this ship back to that. That's at least my thoughts. But Shadi, I got to also get your thoughts on the tag match last night. Obviously, the legacy stuff we've talked about when it comes to Orton and Cody, the future of that, the future of the vision. Seth Rollins rolling all of this, as well as Paul Heyman. Talk to me about it, Shadi.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this has kind of just been a placeholder in regards to what they're trying to do on the main event picture. I feel like the vision is in such a stuck place. I feel like the initial idea of them, obviously the shock of Seth getting Paul on his side and then creating this team with two understudies like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. On paper, it sounds great. The guys are obviously all talented, but the execution has been pretty pedestrian, to be honest with you. They haven't done anything that has made them stood out. They haven't felt like viable threats. And I hear you laughing. It's all good, man.
True.
I just don't.
No, I agree.
Like it's just there's not a oomph to it. Like I don't know. I see someone like Bronson Reed.
I can tell you why.
I see someone like Braun Breaker, and I see someone led by Paul Heyman. I feel like they should be way more bigger threats than they should. And of course, people are going to put out numbers and put out wins. And yeah, he got a pin over Randy Orton last night. But it seems like it's the reoccurring ways that they win. It's the reoccurring type of matches that they have every week, whether it be on Raw, whether it be on SmackDown last night. And to your point, like you mentioned earlier, I feel like that's going to lead to them just ripping the script up and throwing it away. And then what happens after that? Like the goal out of this is that you need to make these two guys be next level, specifically Braun Breaker, because there is a full investment on him. They're looking at him to be the cash cow that is going to be headlining Manias after Roman is done, after Seth is done. But to me, I don't know if he's progressed more than he has from before he joined the faction. To me, I feel like he's in the same place. Maybe he might be less of a place, to be honest with you. Like, he may have been more glossy when he was running around spearing people like a lunatic. Bronson Reed, I think he's kind of got big opportunities, and I feel like maybe he's benefit more to it. But do I see Bronson Reed as a main event guy? I'm not entirely sure. Like, there's just a lot of like, it just feels muddy, and I don't know why. Like,
you know what it feels like to me, Shadi? You know what it feels like to me, Shadi? And I love, because you got the Mamba jersey on today. It feels like when the Nets got Kyrie, KD, and Harden, and we're like, this is going to work. Yeah. And it just didn't. Like, there's no, Ignacio mentioned continuity earlier, and there's no, like, Braun and Bronson don't even seem to get, it almost feels like they're like contracted players by Paul Heyman, not even really by Seth. Seth doesn't feel like the leader. Paul Heyman feels like the leader, right? And they feel like they're contracted players, but that's not even the story that's being told. So it's like contradictory. The story that's being told is that they've got this loyalty to Heyman and Seth, and there's just no. Where are they at in the mixed tag match? When we put Punk and AJ over?
Exactly. They don't. That's the thing. They don't feel like it feels like separate things. Like Seth doesn't feel like he's a member of the Vision.
Yeah, it feels like a group and a half.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Ignacio, though, I know you wanted to.
Yeah, real quick. If you think about it this way, this is kind of it doesn't help. It doesn't help the way the way the Vision's been portrayed, but this is kind of stalemate season because it's kind of like, I mean, what's really going to matter in Perth? Like, okay, Cody's going to wrestle Seth, and it's for a belt that really doesn't really matter. Tiffany's going to wrestle Stephanie. It doesn't really matter. You know, Survivor Series isn't what it used to be. It doesn't really matter, even though they injected War Games into it, but still, and that's what they're building. Cody's going to build a team with Orton, and they're going to take on the Vision, and we're going to get the 5-on-5. But again, does it really matter? No, not really. So this is kind of for WWE leading up to the Royal Rumble and leading up to Cena's retirement match. This is kind of stalemate season. You know, we're beginning the stories to lead into Royal Rumble season. That's what it really is. But it's a slow progression. It's a slow start. That's where we're at right now. That's why everything seems kind of stagnant, because
I'm actually with you. You know what it feels like is the way that the Mania season has worked out the last few years, sort of, and you don't have Finish the Story anymore that everyone's focused on. That makes everything feel a little bit easier, right? That's gone. It's over. It's been 2 years now. It feels like this is, if you're a baseball fan, this is spring training. Right? Like, you can get really excited about the lineup, but like, we're talking about next April. It's only October, and we got to figure out the fall season for WWE, because honestly, as much credit as we gave to Finishing the Story, as much credit as we gave to the run headed into WrestleMania 39, where you end up with a tag match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens main eventing against the Usos, and you end up with Roman and Cody and the shock victory, the 2 nights there. The last few years, though, the fall has always felt like it's fallen flat, pun intended. It wasn't at first, but once I thought of it, it was intended. I want to be clear on that. I didn't actually mean to go the fall, but it's just fallen flat. And I think that is something that needs to be looked at, because, you know, it is like a quarter system, like any business and like any entertainment thing, right? You got new seasons, and you do have to spend some time building storylines, as we've mentioned, but it does feel like we're just sort of being hamster wheeled in some ways to buy time till the big time stuff happens. And it, in a weird way, the part that frustrates me the most is it makes it too easy to project next April. That's, I think, what frustrates me the most about it. It makes it too easy to be like, that's what they're doing. Right. And something has to be done about that, I think, from a creative standpoint. And I'm not trying to be overly critical, because I do believe that Triple H gets too much hatred for the way that he's booked certain things. He doesn't have the ultimate power booking wise. It's a committee. It's all kinds of different things.
It's not all. It's the thing is this. It's not all entirely on booking. It's also trying to see who can rise to the occasion, right?
Yes.
And when you look at that main event picture,
Okay,
at the moment, you got to see who can really get to that level.
we can't extend this because I'm going to run myself out of time. So that's going to actually bring us to the end of the show. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Happy Saturday on behalf of me, Clark, Shadi, Ignacio, everybody at WR. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. It's Sunday Fun Day. It's going to be noon Pacific, 3 o'clock over on the East Coast, 8 o'clock in the UK, and of course, 9 a.m. for my good friends in Hawaii. Have a great rest of your Saturday. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.